Yo people, what's going on? So Dan Ashworth isn't in his position at Manchester United yet. He's still on gardening leave, but according to reports, he is already getting down to business and could have targeted Manchester United's first signing under the new Ineos reign. We're going to be getting stuck into all of that, and I've got to say, we're being linked with a player that is music to my ears. Is someone that I've spoken about a lot on the club, on Stretford Paddock. Whenever anyone asks me about who do you want us to sign, especially from the Premier League, I mentioned this man's name. So I'm delighted by the reports. Obviously, reports doesn't mean it's true. So we'll get stuck into all of that and find out just what is going on. But before we do that, make sure you're hitting that like button. Get your comments in the comment section below. And of course, subscribe to the channel. I'm not sure if you've noticed, we've been a little bit more consistent around here lately. We've been pushing out a lot more videos. But I also want to know, what do you guys want to see more of? Let us know in those comments below and we'll keep the videos coming. Whether it's reaction to the latest Manchester United news, match reaction, transfer rumours, tier lists, whatever you want, we've got it right here on the channel. So get hitting that subscribe button. Right then, let's have a look at what the hell is going on here then. We hear from Jack Talbot, who's, fairly decent reporter, that Manchester United, and this is an exclusive, Dan Ashworth is pushing for Jarrad Branthwaite to Manchester United as Everton have set their price. Now we hear that he's pushing for a deal for Jarrad Branthwaite to join Manchester United. The former Newcastle executive, who's currently on gardening leave from the Magpies, has persuaded Ineos that the 21-year-old is the player the club must build their backline around. Man United have had an interest in the youngster for a while, but it's Ashworth who is now hoping to conclude a swift deal. We are told, this is Football Transfers and Jack Talbot, that we are told now that Man United are heavily involved in getting a deal over the line for sources, and sources inform us that Everton will demand 75 million for the centre-back, so just shy of that fee that we paid for Harry Maguire, though there is an idea that an initial 65 million will be enough as well as add-ons. The Toffees are reluctant to see the defender leave Goodison Park, but their situation around the Premier League's profit and sustainability regulations, the PSR, as you occasionally hear it known as, means that they must offload the player. We also heard yesterday from the same outlet that Manchester United were interested in Michael Olise as well, the young player who's playing for Crystal Palace, doing really well there, and apparently he's open to a move to Old Trafford, but he's also suffered some big injuries, so it's whether you want to stick big money on for him when he has got that release clause of around £60 million. But despite the huge talent that's clearly there, he's also had his injury problems. So it'll be interesting to see how that one develops. But nevertheless, we're looking at this and we're going, Jarrad Branthwaite is a target for Manchester United. And that, as I said before, music to my ears. I like him. I think he's fantastic. Everton did well to go and get him from Carlisle, I believe it was. Then we've seen him go out on loan to a few places. I think it was Blackburn and then PSV Eindhoven, where he did really well. And now he's come to Everton. And whilst he's only played, 30 games, for the Everton first team or whatever it is, he's been absolutely fantastic for them. Shows a good reading of the game, good aerial ability, good ability with the ball at his feet. Looks really cool and calm under pressure. Came to Old Trafford this weekend, as we saw. And that was the first time we got to see him at Old Trafford. But will it be the last time we see him there in blue, and potentially the first time around the corner we see him there in red very soon? I hope that's the case, because Man United need to be signing players like this, young, talented players. And whilst I think the 65 to 75 million pound fee is obviously an awful lot, for someone that's young, got potential, if it didn't go to plan, you could still possibly resell in a couple of years, or even if it does go to plan and you look to move him on after a few years, that could happen and you could still get a load of money for him. So it looks like the kind of signing we should be making, of course. And it's one that, if you get it right, it proves valuable over the years. Big money for a player that's only had, one big season for Everton. But as I said, he's been developing slowly. And that year at PSV would have done him well. The timing, the playing in the Premier League would have done him well. And then the fact that Everton are kind of in this position where they need to sell him, we can go in there and hopefully get a cut price deal for him. Because I imagine if they weren't in the position that they're in with PSR and all that, they'd be demanding a hell of a lot more money, and they'd be well within their rights to, especially when you look at, some of the signings that we've seen over the years and stuff. So an interesting position for Manchester United to be in. And it's already, if this is true, of course, you're starting to see that impact of Dan Ashworth and all those guys coming in at Ineos, and the kind of profile of player that they will be targeting. Olise, another one, would be in link with young player. Again, those injury issues do concern me, but I think he's a fantastic talent. If he was to sign for Man United, I'd be really, really excited about that. But those injury problems do concern me. But interesting. Who else should we be going for? You know what I mean? There's obviously a lot of other young players around and available, and that Manchester United will be looking to bring in. Been linked with John Clare Todibo as well. If you were to bring in Jared Branthwaite and John Clare Todibo, for example, you'd be in a position where you've brought in 2 centre-backs. And Manchester United are probably going to see a couple of players leave. We hear about Raphael Varane potentially moving on. Harry Maguire still potentially could move on as well. In the midfield area, we've been hearing reports about Casemiro going to Saudi Arabia at the end of the season, which could see a £40 million fee for Manchester United, which I think will be a good bit of business. I've enjoyed seeing Casemiro wearing a Man United shirt, but this season's been clear that, his best years are definitely behind him. And Manchester United need to build a midfield around Kobbie Mainoo, one that looks towards the future. And hopefully we can do that again with signings like Jared Branthwaite coming in of the right age profile. I still think you need a little bit of experience in there, but hopefully that will happen too. But it's always best to set your sights on the younger potential market. Manchester United have done that. Even when you look at us under Sir Alex Ferguson, that's who we'd be targeting, the best young players in and around the country or in Europe, and as we've seen with some of them like Rafa, Fabio, etc. in Brazil. Like, that's what you do. You go and get the best youngsters, even if it means paying a little bit for them, but bring them into the club, develop them, nurture them, and you've got a player there for potentially, the long run, 10 years maybe. That's if they go to plan. So interesting reports this morning, and I'm delighted with them. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Hopefully they're true. Obviously they might not be true, of course, but hopefully they are true. And also interested to see this Dan Ashworth situation. I said it before, like, they can say to him, you can be put on gardening leave, or we're not going to let you go, or whatever. Phone calls can still be made. And let's not be naive here. It happens in football. We see players talking to clubs that they probably can't talk to, but they do. It happens. And I wouldn't be surprised if Ashworth is already making his presence felt. Anyway, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. I'll be back very soon. See you in a bit.